Hello, everyone. You would think that after a year of being online, I have figured out how to unmute myself, but here we are now. Welcome to our special Girls in STEAM Winter Science program with the Girl Guides of Canada. My name is Hiba, and I'll be the host for today's event. I would like to begin by gratefully acknowledging that Science World is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. Today, we are going to try some amazing demonstrations with very, very cold things and show you some fun activities you can try with your troop and meet an incredible STEAM mentor who works creating computer animation. We would also like to thank SAP for their generous support of these events. Our technicians, Madeline and Brian, will be monitoring the chat. If you have any technical issues, they would be happy to assist. Please feel free to use the chat to share any questions or your reactions to the demonstrations and activities. Our presenters will also be asking you questions, and we are very, very excited to hear all of your ideas. We ask that you keep comments in the chat respectful and relevant to the topics being discussed, and remember not to share any personal information online. If you would like to try out the chat now, let us know if there are any STEAM careers or science, technology, engineering, art and design, and math careers that girls in your troop would love to try sometime. Now, I would like to introduce Carissa Kineski to welcome all of you on behalf of the Girl Guides of Canada.
Hi, everyone. My name is Carissa Kineski, and I am the BC Program Advisor for Girl Guides. I just wanted to take a minute to welcome all of the Girl Guides, their families, their friends, and anyone else who is tuning in to join us today. We're very excited about all of the activities planned. And I also wanted to take a moment to thank Science World for putting together this amazing activity for us this afternoon. So thank you again, and I hope you enjoy it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carissa. Now it is time for my friend Kiki from Science World to show you some super cool science with some super cool materials. Take it away, Kiki. I think you also may...
All right, can we hear me now?
Yes, there we go.
Great. Awesome. Thanks so much, Hiba. It's really wonderful to be here, like Hiba said, to do some very cool demonstrations with some very cool materials. Now, I am here in the lab here at Science World with Madeline and Brian, who are working in the chat. And you'll notice that I don't have my mask on, but we are well distanced away from each other. I just need to be able to make sure that my goggles don't fog up for these very cool materials. Now, I have a question for all of you, and maybe for you as well, Hiba. What is the coldest place you've ever been? Maybe you can put that in the chat. Hiba, what's the coldest place you've ever been? Do you know?
That's very, very good question. I mean, I haven't really traveled that much, but I mean, it gets really, really cold out east in Toronto. When I visited family out there. But I've had friends that have gone up to the Arctic for some research, which has been pretty cool. And I definitely can tell that it is very cold up there. What about you, Kiki?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the coldest I've ever been was I was actually rappelling off of a rock face in -30 degrees weather, and it was very, very cold. It was very cold.
Oh man.
Has anybody are there any comments in the chat about the coldest place anybody has been?
Yeah, so Carla said Edmonton. It does get very cold there compared to out here. Oh, and we have another location in Alberta as well, Fort McMurray. Harper says, my house last week when it snowed. That is very scary. Yeah, it did snow out here a little while ago. Yeah. Oh, we have a Regina, Saskatchewan, I believe, -67. Oh my gosh.
That is so cold. I think -67 is the coldest I've heard anybody reply to this question. So congratulations on being the coldest. So we actually have a material here that's even colder than Regina, Saskatchewan. We have a material here that is -78 degrees Celsius. I'm going to pull it up from behind my desk right over here. and we'll open it up and see what's inside. You'll notice that I'm wearing these fashionable orange gloves to protect my hands, and I've got some goggles on to protect my eyes. And we're just going to pull out right in here and see if you can see. It's a little hard to see on the camera, but we've got some little nuggets here that are negative 78 degrees Celsius. Very, very cold. Now, I'm wondering if you might know what this material is that I've got in my hands. It is made of something that we interact with every day. It might be in the soda that you drink. It might be actually coming out of your body right now. Is there anybody in the chat there, Heba, who might have some guesses?
Yeah, we have guesses from Vanessa and Sabrina, who say dry ice, and Sabrina says frozen CO2.
Ooh, excellent, excellent. Yeah, so this is in fact dry ice, which, yes, is frozen CO2 or frozen carbon dioxide. So it's in the solid form right now, which is very, very cold. And dry ice is super interesting because it actually goes from a solid straight to a gas. So it does something called sublimation. Now, I've put it into our little chip containers here, and you can see that we can't see anything happening. All right, but we're going to make it a little bit more exciting. We're going to speed up that process, add some water, and we might notice, ooh,
Oh man, it looks like mad science is happening over here.
Absolutely. All right, so we've got some water added to our dry ice, and I'm just going to try to trap that right in there. We've got these lids here. Woo! Okay, there we go. We'll just get that. Hey, now I said stay on there. Okay, so there's one. Pop that one on there. There we go. All right, there's my other one. Pop that one right on there. Hey now, I said stay. I said stay.
They're giving you a handful there, Kiki.
One. Okay, we've got our second one. Okay, so as you can see, we have as you can see, we have not trapped our carbon dioxide inside of these containers here. Now, what's happening as that solid is turning into that gas, it's actually expanding. It's expanding much bigger than when it was that solid. As that solid, it was compressed down into that little nugget, and then it turns into that gas, and those molecules spread far away from each other, which is super neat. There we go. You can go over here. You can go over here, and you can see that we couldn't actually trap it inside of our container, but but we might be able to trap it inside of something that can expand along with it. So we have another high-tech device over here. This plastic PVC pipe, very high-tech. To go along with another high-tech material over here, we have some bubble solution. All right, now what I'm going to do is get my bubble solution container open. But surprise, surprise, bubble solution containers can be very slippery. Now, I'm going to pop once again some of our dry ice inside of our little tube here, and we're going to try to make a bubble that's filled with that dry ice fog. So that's that water that's condensing as it gets really cold, creating that fog. All right, so here we go. I'm going to pop some water. Now, maybe we can get some predictions in the chat about how the bubble might behave when we create a bubble with our dry ice fog. You think it's going to get really big? Woo!
Oh boy.
You think it's going to go really small? Do you think it's going to pop immediately like it just did?
Yeah, we see Michaela says cloudy bubble. Carissa, do you have any guess? What do you think will happen?
I think it's going to be a big bubble and explode.
I think it's going to be a big bubble. All right, let's try this one. See if we can get it a little bit bigger. Here it goes. Oh. All right, now we're going to try one last one. And this one, I want us to notice if it goes up or if it goes down. Do you see it sinking down or do you see it sinking going up? Let's see if I can make it. Actually, we're going to try one last try. See if I can make an actual bubble form. Let's see. We get our bubble. There's our dry ice. One more. See if I've got the magic touch. Oh, it was almost there.
Oh, there you go. You do have the magic touch.
Excellent. It's always good to try one more. Awesome. So we've got our dry ice bubbles there. You can see they're sinking down to the ground because they're actually heavier than the air that's around us. So that's why they're sinking down to the bottom. Awesome. All right. So I think we have another special guest who's going to share with us a little something about heat and cold. Is that right there, Heba?
Yep, you are right. Yeah.
How can we move energy from somewhere that has a lot to somewhere that doesn't? Hi, I'm Hillary from Science World, and I'm going to demonstrate the transfer of heat energy through the movement of a fluid. I have 4 bottles, 2 with hot water and 2 with cold, plus food coloring so we can tell them apart. I'm going to put 1 hot bottle on top of a cold one and vice versa. Just like hot air, the hot water is also rising. When it started out on top, we don't see much mixing. But when the hot water started out on the bottom, we see that both of these bottles are becoming purple as the hot water and the cold water move around past each other as the hot water rises. This is convection, the transfer of heat energy through the movement of a fluid. You can test this out at home. Try using different temperatures or different liquids. Share your experiments with us using the hashtag #ShowUsYourScience. Bye!
Awesome. That was super cool. Thanks so much, Hillary. And that's actually something that you can try out at home if you have those materials at home. It's a really simple demonstration that you can try out and see that hot and cold heat transfer. Super neat. All right. So we worked with some dry ice, as folks in the chat very correctly predicted. But now we're actually going to get a little bit colder. And what's colder than negative 78 degrees Celsius? I think negative 196 degrees Celsius.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
definitely.
Yeah, I can't even imagine something that cold.
Well, you won't have to imagine it anymore because we've actually got it in this container right
There we
here. So we've got something even colder than dry ice. This is a negative 196 degrees Celsius inside of this container right here. This is actually liquid nitrogen. So it's in its liquid form in this container, but nitrogen is actually all around us in the air that we breathe in every day. Most of the air is actually made up of nitrogen, which is super neat. But we have a special form of it in our liquid form. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it inside of this special container right here so that we can see once again how it behaves. So take close note as we pour it in and watch what happens. Here we go.
My gosh, it's looking like another even bigger mad scientist lab.
Absolutely. Yes. Okay, so as you watch that, I'm going to go put this liquid nitrogen in a safe space so that I don't knock it over. Whew. And we can notice, what do we notice about the fog that's coming off the side here? Was it rising up in the air or was it falling down? What do you think? Did you notice anything like that, Heba?
Yeah, I mean, it looked like it was falling kind of right down and out, and the fog has stopped now too.
Absolutely. So when I was pouring this liquid nitrogen into the container, it had to cool down the container. So that heat from the container actually was transferred into the liquid nitrogen, which caused it to boil. And you say boil. Now, usually when we talk about boiling, we talk about making a nice cup of tea, maybe, with a kettle. We put it on our stove. It's nice and cozy, nice and warm.
Mhm.
But I said that this was negative 196 degrees Celsius. So I don't think that would make quite a cozy cup of tea. But actually, different materials have different boiling points. So they boil at different temperatures. Super neat. So this one happens to be negative 196 degrees Celsius. So what we're going to do is we are going to test out boiling with our handy dandy kettle right here. I'm just going to pop the lid open, grab our ladle, and scoop some of our liquid nitrogen into our kettle. And whoo, there we go. And see what happens. There we go. We'll get one scoop. Let's do another little scoop just for good measure here. There we go. All right, now let's see if we can make a hot cup of tea. Would you look at that? It is already boiling. Anybody have a tea that whistles like this? It sounds, it hits just that correct frequency in my brain that
note.
Goes, oh my goodness, turn it off. Amazing. All right, so you can see that this liquid nitrogen is boiling. You might even be able to see little bubbles form inside of this dewar. Now, I think what we might want to try next is putting some things inside of the liquid nitrogen. We tried putting the liquid nitrogen inside something. Should we put some things inside, Hiba?
We definitely want to put some things inside the liquid nitrogen.
Alrighty. Well, it just so happens that I have some things prepared right beside me here. All right, first thing I have is a bouncy ball. We can see, it bounces nice and high. So this is a rubber bouncy ball. We're going to toss that inside of our liquid nitrogen. Second thing we have is this stretchy rubber tubing. As I'm putting these inside, I want you to make some predictions about what you think the liquid nitrogen might do to these various things. So we'll pop our stretchy rubber tubing inside of there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's hear it in the chat. What do you guys think the liquid nitrogen will do to all of these things?
All right, our final thing is we have these special items right here. We have a ring and we have a metal ball. And I can actually fit this ring through the metal ball. And I'm going to put the ring side of it inside of our liquid nitrogen. We might just wait a moment there, see if we have any predictions.
Nice.
Hiba, do you see any predictions in the chat there?
Michaela is saying that it will freeze and become hard and it won't be stretchy. So I think you were talking about the bouncy ball and the
one right here?
In the
bouncy ball.
Nice. That's a good guess.
Right, do we have a couple more maybe?
Oh, Katie said melt it. That's a really interesting guess.
Ooh, yeah. Nice.
Harper says that she thinks it'll break. Melinda says make it bigger. So expand.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome predictions. All right, I think it's time that we test it out. Should we test it out?
I think we should.
Okay, so I've got my tongs here. Let's try the bouncy ball first since we put it in first. Let's try that. All right, so we've got our bouncy ball. I'm going to try bouncing it on our table. Ready in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, that was very anticlimactic.
It lost its bounce.
Yeah, it lost the bounce.
Oh, it also got a lot louder, it sounded like. Yeah. So our bouncy ball is just a ball now. Kind of sad. But what's happening is those rubber molecules are usually able to slide past each other in normal, temperatures that we might have in our room right here. Once it gets really cold, those molecules aren't able to slide past each other as much. And so it becomes much more solid and doesn't give it that bounce. Okay, so we've done our bouncy ball. What should we do next? What do you think?
I mean, Carissa, what do you think? I think we put the pipe in the next.
Yeah, pipe sounds good.
Do that one? That sounds like a good plan.
Good idea.
This one?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so we have our rubber tubing here. All right. Looks like nothing happened to it. Interesting. All right, maybe I'll try stretching it out.
Oh.
Ooh.
Come on, Kiki, you're strong. You can do it.
Oh, it's stuck. So we now have a horseshoe-shaped rubber. You can see it's expanding ever so slightly now. So just like with the bouncy ball, those rubber molecules aren't able to slide past each other, but just in the areas that were in our liquid nitrogen, super frozen. Okay, finally, what do you think we should do next?
Well, I mean, there's only one thing left. Carissa, did you have any guesses for this one? I did. Yeah. Did you have any guesses for what would happen with this one?
That's a good question.
Yeah, this one's a little
I
tricky.
don't know.
All right, should we just test it out?
I think so. Yeah. Let's go
All
for
right.
it.
In science, it's great to not know. That's why we do a lot of science, because we don't know things. So we're going to test it out. We've got the ring here. We have our metal ball. We're going to try and put it in. I got it in, but now I can't get it out.
Oh no.
All right, let's try this one more time.
It was
oh
so
my goodness,
easy
now I
before
can't get it in. There. Okay. I don't know if anybody saw before. It was very easy for me to get it in and out. It did not take any strength at all. But now it seems to require some superhuman strength to get it in and out. So what's happening here is the molecules in our metal ring here are contracting. So they're getting closer together, which means that our ring, that space in our ring, is getting smaller. So it's harder to get the ball in and out. Awesome. All right, so we've tested out some cool things that we can put inside of our liquid nitrogen here. I think we have, do we have any comments in the chat? Oh, nice. We had lots of predictions about whether it would shrink, become brittle. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
I love all the participation that's going on. I think we have something that folks can try out at home coming up next.
Hi, everyone. Today we're going to show you how you can make a little snowstorm in a jar. Now, there's a few things you're going to need for this. A jar of some kind. If you like, you can also use something like an empty pop bottle. You're going to need some oil. Baby's oil is pretty good there because it's nice and clear. You can also use some vegetable oil as long as it's fairly clear. You want to have some paint, white washable paint. Some glitter if you like to sparkle it up a little bit. And then the most important thing, some Alka-Seltzer. And you can get that at drugstores and grocery stores, places like that. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fill our jar or container about 3/4 full of oil. We're going to mix together some of that paint with a little bit of water. So I'm going to put some paint in there, and you're going to mix in some water and just stir that all up. So basically, you're trying to make some white water. I could probably have used a little bit more water in this one, but we'll see. It's always good to experiment. The next thing you're going to do is take that white water and you're going to add it into your big jar full of the oil. And you can make a prediction here. I want you to watch carefully and observe too. Where does that white water go? Does it stay on the top? Does it go to the bottom? Do you think it's lighter or heavier than the oil there? You can make the same kind of prediction with your glitter. And this is kind of fun too, because there's different variables, different kinds of glitter are going to show up different ways. So we're going to put some glitter here and see if your glitter is lighter or heavier. Sometimes it might start off on the surface, and you'll notice over time, gradually little pieces will start to flow down. Now, the key piece here is that Alka-Seltzer. We're not going to use the whole big thing. We're going to take it and we're going to break it up into little pieces like this. So all of these little pieces, little piece, little piece, little piece, we're going to put those in one at a time and watch carefully what happens, because Alka-Seltzer makes a lot of gas. It makes little bubbles. So when the Alka-Seltzer goes all the way down to the bottom and those bubbles start to connect with some of that white water and glitter you've got down there, you'll see that gradually you might get a little snowstorm going. Now, the other thing to watch is some of that white water comes up, but then when those bubbles pop, watch what happens to it. Does it stay at the top? Does it change? Something else I discovered doing this, you probably want to have this on a little tray or something. Sometimes you get so many bubbles, you can see them starting to build up, that it might overflow a little bit, and you don't want to get that white paint on things. It's washable, but it's always better if you don't have to wash it. So that is just a quick look at how you can make yourself your very own snowstorm in a jar. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian. Oh, that we're Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian, for teaching us how to make a snowstorm in a jar. So our special guest today also makes some pretty cool things. Shazzy Angulo is a computer engineer and animator who is the Unreal Engine Development Supervisor at Wildbrain Entertainment and creates her own cartoon, Mitzy Makes It, aimed at inspiring girls through STEAM learning. Shazzy also teaches coding workshops for guide groups interested in exploring coding and robotics. So please welcome Shazzy. Hello, Shazzy.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Shazzy, like Heba said, and what I do, I'll explain what I do at Wildbrain because that was a long title. So Unreal Engine is essentially the technology used to make Fortnite. So Fortnite is a video game. I'm sure many of you have heard it. But instead of using it to make video games, my team uses it to make cartoons and animation. And it's a lot faster, it's a lot quicker. And that's what I also use to make my Mitzy cartoons. So I help teach it, I train new supervisors, I come up with tools and develop tools to help animators make things faster. So it's a lot of fun and I get to work on a lot of fun cartoons. So I'm going to share my screen and actually show you a little bit on how I make my Mitzy cartoons.
Thank you, Shazzy. And while you're doing that, may I say I love your outfit today. Very winter themed, very appropriate. But Shazzy, I think where you are right now is not very winter themed or not very wintry outside.
I am actually in California, but I was supposed to move to Vancouver, but I've been remote for almost 2 years now at Wildbrain. So still get to enjoy a little bit of the sun. So awesome. I have here Mitzy's world. And keeping with the Winter Wonderland theme, I'm going to add some of her holiday decorations. And in a little bit, you'll start seeing some snow falling. So this is her little workshop that she has. And let's go find Mitzy. She's inside. And this is Unreal Engine, by the way, that I'm using. This is the same thing that I use for work as well.
Yeah, and if anyone in the chat has questions, feel free to keep popping them in the chat, and yeah, we can definitely talk about them with Shazzy.
So here's Mitzy. Clearly, we have matching headbands, but she looks like she's asleep a little bit. So what I do actually is how I bring Mitzy to life is it's actually me. If you see my facial expressions are matching hers, and what's happening is there is an app on my iPhone that's reading my face. So all the expressions your face can make gets a number. So if your mouth is open, it gets a 1. If it's closed, it gets a 0. So imagine that with your eyebrows and your eyes and everything on your face. And then my phone sends it to the computer and I can talk as Mitzy and bring her to life. So that's how I make some of my videos. And this is really a new way to do animation. Usually before traditional animation, someone would have to go in and animate every single thing happening. So if you want her eyelids to close, if you want her mouth to open, someone has to do that. So this is a lot faster and a lot quicker to do that. Her shop as well is super fun. So you can, everything in here I kind of decorated, but you can take everything and make a bunch of copies of it. You can make things really big. You can make them super tiny. You can also change their colors. So you go here and you can see I can change it to whatever color that I want. So it's a lot of fun kind of building these different worlds. And this is the same thing that all kind of animated TV shows and movies do, is build worlds like this kind of piece by piece. And there's various different kinds of jobs you can do. So someone who makes all these different little props is called a modeler. I cannot do that. So what I ended up doing is there's websites where you can find all these different items and download them and try to build your world. So you can see this bow here is the same one that's on Mitzy's head. So when I'm trying to tell a story or write something for a video, I'll kind of go see what I can find and use all of that. So you can still see she's moving here. But if there's any questions or anything you want me to make Mitzy do, maybe Heba can pick some out. So again, this is Unreal Engine, and it is free to download. It's going to be on the Epic website. That's the company that owns it and owns Fortnite. So you can definitely download it and start playing with stuff. And there's lots of tutorials and free resources. So the cool part is that it is free. So now, individual people and small teams can make animation, whereas before it was just these big studios could do it. So
that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, and we're in the chat. We're getting a lot of people saying that this is really, really awesome and super, super cool. So we have we have a couple of requests popping in the chat where Harper is wondering if Mitzy knows any dragons.
Any dragons? I don't think she knows any dragons, but let me see. She has a handful of friends that all have different hobbies. So we'll say hi to her friends. So this is Daisy, and she loves nature and the outdoors. And this is Dude, and he's super crafty. You can see he has glue and popsicle sticks stuck to himself.
And then do you control the other characters as well, or do you have other friends that control these characters?
So great question. I can actually control all of them at the same time. La, 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 la. I'm not saying, so sorry about that. But what I actually do for my videos is my friends and my dad actually record their voices for me, and then I act it back just because I couldn't see them in person for the past year. I would act like I would press their audio and act it back, so then I could record the voice onto the characters. So
that's exciting.
Kind of like a hybrid.
Awesome. And we have a couple of requests coming in. We have, can you open your mouth very wide? And how does she look when whistling? So there we go. That's open wide.
Thank you.
And then whistling.
I can't whistle.
And then I think our last one that we have is, can Mitzy walk?
Great question. So they do sell these super cool suits that you can wear. And if you wear that and walk around, then your character can walk around. I really want one, but they're very expensive. So what I did is she has a little library of kind of movements. So I can so here's her kind of like running around, a whole bunch of different like emotions. So here's like a sad one.
Oh,
here's her. I think she has like a twirl. Oh, one of these somewhere is a twirl. Too many Mitzy's in the way. Let's see. So what I do is I take, when I'm writing a story, I'll record my neck up, and then I'll figure out what kind of body movement I need for that story, and then I combine them together.
That's very, very exciting. Well, thank you so much, Shazzy. I think that's probably all the time we have, but Shazzy will be sticking around until the end of the program and is very happy to answer any questions if you would like to learn more about the cool things that she does. So as an animator, Shazzy, I know you can create some pretty cool illusions. So we actually have an activity for you where you can try to create an illusion that fools your sense of hot and cold.
Hi everyone, this is Cindy from Science World, and today we are going to be talking about perception. So what you need for this activity is a bowl of warm water, a bowl of cold water, and a bowl of room temperature water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put each hand into a bowl of water. I'm just going to leave them in there for a little while, because what's happening here is that when we expose our bodies to a certain temperature, we have these thermoreceptors that will actually send that signal up to our brain that something is warm or something is cold. However, if we leave our hand in, say, a bowl of cold water for a really long time, those thermoreceptors will actually desensitize, which means that our body just kind of gets used to that temperature. Now, I'm gonna leave my hands in here for a little while. Usually I do it for about a minute or two. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take each hand, I'm gonna put them both in a bowl of room temperature water. Now you may notice something really, really funky happening when you do this, and I would encourage you to try it out at home and share your results with us using the hashtag #ShowUsYourScience. All right, have a great day, everyone.
Awesome. That was pretty cool. And we're very excited to hear when you've tried the experiment, what happened. Kiki, have you ever tried anything like that before?
That was super cool. I don't know if I've tried that exact experiment before, but I do have, again, our liquid nitrogen here, which is really cold, which maybe I could try putting my hand into.
That does not sound like a good idea, Kiki. I don't think so.
Maybe we'll get some comments in the chat. Does that sound like a good idea to put my hand inside of the liquid nitrogen? I've been using these protective gloves this whole time, but I've just said that maybe I'll try putting my hand inside. Now, I do know something. I know that science is on my side. Oh, I see Sabrina says, no! Maybe if I was Mitzy, I could get Mitzy to put their hand inside.
Maybe.
But actually, I can use science on my side and something called the Leidenfrost effect to protect my hand if I do it very quickly. So, everybody peel your eyes as I do this very quickly. Everybody's telling me that I shouldn't do it, but you know what? I believe in the Leidenfrost effect. Let's try it in 3, 2, 1.
Oh my gosh! And your hand is still alive.
So actually what was happening there is I just felt a very little bit of cold. It was as though a slight cool breeze had passed over my fingertips. And the reason for that is because my hand is quite warm and this liquid nitrogen is quite cold. As I put my hand inside of the liquid nitrogen, that liquid nitrogen actually boiled around my hand, creating a nice little gas cushion or a gas mitten kind of thing around my hand, and it protected me from actually coming into contact with that very cold liquid nitrogen, which is super neat. Now I'm wondering in the chat, people who are viewing, there seem to be some Girl Guide troops out there. I'm wondering if you could maybe put in the chat what Girl Guide troop you are in and where you're coming from there, just so that we can get a better sense of who we are doing these fun experiments with. Awesome. All right, so I've just put my hand inside of the liquid nitrogen, and I was hoping we could put a Mitzy inside of our liquid nitrogen, but I don't have a Mitzy with me. I instead have a Sparky. And Sparky is pretty neat. Sparky sadly does not.
Oh.
Yeah, no, there's no facial expression change with Sparky.
Maybe we can ship Sparky over to Shazzy and she can work her magic. Yeah.
yeah. See if we can animate Sparky here. But Sparky is our balloon animal dog. And we are going to see what happens if we put Sparky inside of our liquid nitrogen. Once again, I will ask for your predictions about what might happen when we put Sparky woof woof inside of our liquid nitrogen. Hiba, is there any predictions in there?
Yeah, Michaela is saying that it will pop, which is a very strong prediction.
All right, maybe I should stand back then. Second question, should Sparky go head first or tail first? What do we think?
That's a good question. Shazzy, Krista, what do you think? Yeah.
Let's do tail first.
Tail first, excellent.
Okay.
Too intense.
Solid choice. See if tail fits. All right. Get in there. Get in there, Sparky. Okay. Woo. I might need to use my special tongs. Get Sparky all the way in there. Ooh. Oh, how interesting. Sparky has become less of a Sparky and more of it looks kind of like crumpled up tissue paper here. Let me see. I'll pull it out for you. Woo. All right. Now, I think we can try to breathe some life back into Sparky.
Oh my gosh.
Woo! And would you look at that? We have reanimated Sparky into Sparky's original form. Now you might be thinking, how did Sparky stay as Sparky? Now we can actually test this out for ourselves. If everybody wants to stand on up, shake it out a little bit. And what we are going to do is we are going to pretend to be the air molecules that are inside of Sparky. All right. So right now they are full in their warm area, just in your home, and they're grooving, they're dancing, they're moving to the beat, they're moving around, they're shaking around, they're doing lots of movements. All right, it's nice and warm, they're moving all around. Now we are going to get ready to put ourselves into the liquid nitrogen, and we are going to get a lot more chill. All right, we're going to be that person that's standing at the corner of a party, just being real chill, maybe getting a little smaller, get a little quieter, gonna get a little slower. All right. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna come out of our liquid nitrogen and get into the warm air again. And then we're gonna be dancing all around. We're dancing, we're moving. All right. And you can relax. All right, so those molecules, as they're in that warm air, they're moving really fast. Once they go into the liquid nitrogen, they get cold, they shrink down, they get closer together, and they stop moving so fast. So that's why Sparky was able to shrink down and then expand back out again. Thanks so much, Sparky. Sparky's a real trooper here. Awesome. So Heba, I think we have time for one last demonstration. Is that correct?
I think we do, yeah.
Amazing. All right. So for our last thing that we are going to put inside of our liquid nitrogen, I happened to just come from lunch, and I had a banana at lunch. So I've got my banana peel here. I was thinking, what should I do with my banana peel? And I figured, why not toss it instead of just tossing it right in the organics bin? Let's toss it in some liquid nitrogen first. So some observations about our banana peel here. Heba, do you have a banana? Did you eat a banana for lunch today?
I did eat a banana for lunch today.
Oh wow, amazing!
Look at that.
All right. So let's take a closer look at our banana peel here. Here we have it. And did you get a good whiff of your banana peel?
No, I can't say that I keep my banana peels when I finish eating them and smell them. That's just not something I
do. Maybe only those of us with liquid nitrogen behind us keep our banana peels. All right, so I'm going to give it a good smell, and maybe you can smell the banana peel.
Oh boy, I smell it. It's pungent. It's really strong. Yeah.
Excellent. So our banana, it's giving off a good smell. We've got our old banana peel here. Now, what I want to do is I want to put it once again inside of our liquid nitrogen, and whoop, we're going to see what happens. Ready? Here we go. Like all the things we put inside of our liquid nitrogen, it's bubbling over. We're going to get it right now inside there. So go inside there. All right, so bananas were once living things. So they're made up of cells, and those cells are filled with water. So I'm wondering, maybe in your heads, you can think of what happens when water freezes. Those cells might not be so intact anymore. So here we go. Let's see what has happened when we pull out our banana. Ready? And it looks just like a banana peel. All right, let's give it a whiff. Ooh, I'm smelling
it. I can't smell it from here either.
Heba can't smell it either.
I can't smell it. Yeah.
You know what? Let's try one last thing. Feels pretty solid. All right. Now I'm going to try and drop this banana peel on the ground. We say that banana peels make a slip when they drop on the ground, but let's try it. Ready? In 3, 2, 1.
Oh.
Has anybody ever seen that happen when you drop a banana before? So our banana, you can see, smashed to little tiny chili pieces as those cells froze. They became really brittle. I noticed that lots of people in the chat had said that things would become brittle when they freeze, and that's exactly right with this banana. I've just frozen the tip of it. Let's give it one last smash, shall we? One last smash to close this out. Ready? Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Ah!
Awesome. Yay.
Smashing our bananas. Awesome. So I think that's all the demonstrations that I have. I'll pass it back over to you there, Heba, to close us out.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kiki. And that was awesome. So now we actually have a few more minutes just for everyone to ask questions in the chat that you might have for either Shazzy or Kiki. Please feel free to type them in the chat now. Meanwhile, Kiki, what was your favorite demonstration that you did today?
Oh, that's a really good question. I really love working with Sparky. He's a really good co-presenter over here. So anytime Sparky gets to have some camera time, love to see Sparky.
I think Sparky should be the star of the show too. I agree.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Shazzy, what about you? What did you enjoy from today?
I would say when Kiki put her hand in the liquid nitrogen, I have never seen that before, and that was pretty cool.
I was a little bit, you get a little bit nervous every time I do that. I'm not going to lie.
That's fair. That's fair. Kiki, I have another question for you. What do you do at Science World, and what's your favorite part of working at Science World?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I actually coordinate our after-school science program called Super Science Club. So I get to do lots of fun demonstrations with students after school, which is really fun. My favorite part of working at Science World is that everybody who works here has really fun facts. So if you go up to pretty much anybody who works here, ask for a fun fact, they'll give you something awesome that you've never heard of before. It's pretty fun.
That's true. That's awesome. Shazzy, I have a question for you, kind of taking one from the audience and expanding it a little bit. You mentioned, I think, the program that you use also you use for Fortnite. Do you use it for any other kind of programs, or what? What other things do you do in your job, or what other programs do you play around with?
Yeah, so Unreal is what I use most of the time. And it's actually pretty cool because you can use it for video games, you can use it for like design and architecture, and you can also use it to build games like Fortnite and a lot of other ones out there. I also work with a software called Maya, or something similar to Blender, if anyone's heard of that. And that's what you use to model. So when I was explaining like the ribbon that I just got from that store, artists can make that. So if you kind of imagine Play-Doh and you take Play-Doh and you sculpt it into different things, that's what modelers do, but on the computer. So I work with a lot of different artists and they work in that software, and then I kind of teach them how to bring that into Unreal.
That's exciting. And Shazzy, how did you know that you wanted to go into kind of animation and in the software and computer fields?
So ever since I was little, I like wanted to make cartoons. I loved cartoons my whole life. And when it was time to go to college, I wanted to go to art school, but it didn't work out. So I decided to study computer science. And the only idea I had was I knew Disney used computers, which means they needed engineers to make their movies. So I was like, okay, I'm going to study computer science and figure out how that applies to animation. So that's what I did for 4 years. And then I went and got my master's in computer science as well, but I focused on video game development because that was like the next closest thing to animation. And then during that time, I got an internship at Nickelodeon, where I worked on kind of like the future of cartoons and like virtual reality, augmented reality, putting kids inside of cartoons, virtual slime. And I was there for 4 years before Wildbrain. So got to do a lot of fun stuff there. So I used all my technical skills and problem solving skills to make really cool experiences and worlds.
That's exciting. Thank you so much. And then Kiki, I have a question for you. What do you think is what's your favorite part about science, about doing science, about being able to discover new things like that? What is your favorite part? And do you have any advice for anyone who is kind of trying to figure out what they like to do in STEAM?
Absolutely. Yeah. My favorite part about doing science and exploring science is really that curiosity factor, that you get to be really curious about something, about a wide variety of things. And science allows you to have the tools to be able to look closer at whatever it is that you might be curious about. So I find that really fascinating in myself as well as in others, and seeing that curiosity in others, and sort of the collaboration that goes on with discovering what you're curious about. And yeah, that leads into that advice part, is really just sort of notice what you do notice, when you're looking around, figure out what draws your attention, what do you really enjoy looking at, what piques your interest, and what do you get curious about. I think having that knowledge of what you like to get curious about can really lead you into neat paths, either as career options or as things to just look a little bit closer at. So yeah, definitely that curiosity piece.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And then Shazzy, I have kind of one last question for you. I'll pull one from the chat. By the way, everyone's saying they love your snowflake earrings, I think. And we also here all love your snowflake earrings, by the way. So someone was wondering, can you use computers to design clothes, which is a very interesting question, but also kind of, I guess, leading off of that question a little bit. What advice do you have for anybody who kind of wants to explore a little more about, what computers do, or wants to get more involved in, exploring your field a little bit?
Sure. Also, thank you about the earrings. I made them myself, and my headband is like one of my hobbies. So designing clothes, that's actually like a huge industry for animation film, and there's people that just do that. So all the characters, like figuring out the different fabrics you can make, how cloth moves, is it leather, is it sparkly, all that kind of stuff. You could definitely study fashion and then bring that to life in a digital world. So it's definitely a big industry, and a lot of fashion brands are actually trying to get into this space and bring their clothes they make in real life, make digital versions. A lot of fashion brands are trying to work with Fortnite to bring their stuff in there as well. So it's definitely a huge up and coming industry. So I'd say if you love fashion, you love designing clothes, learning a little bit about programming and stuff like that would definitely be a great way to go. And how to kind of get into this, again, depending on kind of your age range and your experience. Unreal has a lot of resources. It is a little bit more advanced, but Scratch is a great website to do some just kind of basic coding and start getting familiar with it. They have tons of like characters and sounds and backgrounds and stuff you can play with. It's also free. So I would recommend that for anyone who's interested in games or animation. You can make your own little stories. I've played with it. I've made some Mitzy stuff on there, and it's a ton of fun. So that was Scratch. And then if you have some experience, or maybe you're a little bit older, I would definitely say download Unreal and start kind of playing with that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And for everybody, we've popped the Mitzy Makes It link in the chat. So you can check out that link if you want to learn a little bit more about Shazzy's cartoon, but also if you want to ask Shazzy more questions about what she does. She's happy to answer anything from there. So that is all the time that we have today. And we wanted to thank Carissa, Kiki, and Shazzy for joining us to share their cool science today. If you would be interested in seeing any parts of this program again, the stream will stay active with the recording. So you can access it with the same link that you used to join us today. We will be sending a survey link out in the next Guidepost newsletter. We would love to know how many guiders were watching from your location and any topics that you would be interested in for future events. We also have another big Girls in STEAM event for ages 14 to 16 in the new year on February 26, 2022. We actually have some mentors there who have worked on Minecraft Earth as well, so kind of very similar to what Shazzy does. And we'll be featuring a bunch of mentors there from all kinds of different fields. So for more information about that and any other events that we host, please visit www.scienceworld.ca/girls-and-STEAM, and you can find the link in the chat. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and keep exploring science. Bye, everybody.